Support comes from Gemma, architects, planners, and designers seeking to bring joy to their clients and communities. Details at gemastl.com.
This is St. Louis on the Air from St. Louis Public Radio. I'm Elaine Cha. What can happen in 48 hours? Well, for people who make films for fun and for a living, the answer is a little and a lot. This past weekend was a testament to that. Starting last Friday, amateur and experienced filmmakers around the world embarked on a race against the clock and one another to make a 5 to 7 minute short film from scratch. On Sunday, just 2 days later, participants in this contest turned in their work. And there's more to come. Here to talk with us about the 48-hour film project, its turn here in St. Louis, and what possesses people to subject themselves to such a time-crunched filmmaking endeavor, we have Ria Ruthsatz, producer for St. Louis's 48-hour film project. Hello.
Hi, thank you for having me.
And we also have director and two-time 48-hour film project winner and judge, Keith Kennedy. Keith, hello to you as well.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Mm-hmm. And welcome to you both to St. Louis on the Air. First, how is it that you describe the 48-hour film project to people who do not do film, Ria?
Yeah, well, the name really says it all. Filmmakers have just 48 hours to write, shoot, edit, and deliver their short films. I like to think of it as St. Louis's most fun film competition.
Mm-hmm. And this is not something that happens just in St. Louis, right?
No, it is international. It's in over 120 cities worldwide.
And Keith, you are joining us from a remote spot. Where are you right now? And where did you first get into the 48-hour film project?
I'm currently in New York City, actually on a set. We're prepping for a shoot tomorrow, and I first was exposed to the film project in St. Louis back in, I think, 2011 or 2012, so it's been some time.
What was it that appealed to you about it, Keith?
I think oftentimes the struggle as a filmmaker is the momentum. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of collective effort to get something like a film across the finish line, and motivating folks with limited or no resources, certainly no monetary resources, to assist and help is hard over weeks or months, but you can convince your friends over 48 hours to come hang out and finish a project entirely. And I think that's very appealing. It sort of alleviates a lot of those concerns.
Mm-hmm. And when you first participated back in 2011, were you a hobbyist in film? Had you come out of film school? What was your background at that time?
Yeah, so I had just graduated with an undergraduate degree, and I was studying film, and so I certainly a graduated hobbyist, let's say.
Okay.
Certainly, I was like looking for a job in the industry, as it were, and the 48 was just an appealing exercise to get some friends together and ultimately, sharpen some of those techniques and pursuits that I had followed in school.
Mm-hmm. Ria, is that also some of what your story is?
A little bit. So I actually always wanted to participate in the competition, but I own a commercial film production company locally, Tree 9 Films. And so our commercial schedules always competed with the official weekend. And so I had to drop out multiple times. But it was always on my radar. My friends did it. It was always something that I wanted to do. And then around the pandemic, it stopped happening. They stopped putting it on in St. Louis. Mm. And I thought, gosh, I missed my chance. And so post-pandemic, I had the opportunity to bring it back.
Mm-hmm. So this is the 48-hour film project. There's a parent organization.
Yes.
It is national.
International.
International. Mm-hmm. It makes the rules.
Yes.
What are those rules, Ria?
Yeah, there's a lot of rules, but the basics are that you complete a film in 48 hours from start to finish, and then we give you required elements. So there's a required prop, character, and line of dialogue that must be incorporated into every film in our city. And then on top of that, on Friday night, when you show up at our kickoff, you actually don't know what genre film you're making. And so that is chosen at random at the kickoff for you.
So those required elements, it is a line of dialogue,
a
you
prop,
said.
and a character.
And what were they for this year?
This year, our character was Al or Alice Mangus, a ghostwriter. The prop was a paper plate, and the line was "Every day is a gift."
How did people react to the announcement of those elements?
They're always pretty surprised. I would say last year our prop was a cantaloupe, and that got a lot of reactions. It's much harder to incorporate a cantaloupe into your film than a paper plate. But
I'm allergic to cantaloupe and melon, so that would have gotten a reaction for sure.
bad one for you.
How many people were there this year?
Yeah, we had 40 teams registered this year, so that's our biggest yet.
And 40 teams means how many people?
Well, that's a great question. So our teams range. We actually had one gentleman, a one-man team, but it ranges up to, we have crews of 20 plus. So it's a lot of people.
As the producer, were you also participating this year?
No, I do not participate. So I just run the show.
Okay. And Keith, you said that you are calling us from a set in New York. Does that also mean that you were not a participant this time?
That's correct. Not this year. This year I'm happily sitting on the judging panel.
What is it about judging that appeals to you?
Well, I love the competition so much more than anything. And so to sit on this side of it with like a real sort of insight into the, let's say, agony that these folks have to go through to get across the finish line. I think there's just an appreciation for it because it is such a ludicrous proposition to begin with. It's extremely difficult to make a film, period. It's even more difficult to try something in 48 hours. And it's almost so absurd that that's the novelty. And so I think like the appreciation that anyone who goes through the experience can bring to watching them. It's a different lens. It truly requires in my mind, a different sort of field of scrutiny.
And as a judge, are there things that you'll be looking for that maybe someone who's not participated would notice?
I think in general, like the basic criteria of like artistic merit, obviously, and then Ria outlined those, those required elements. Like that's certainly a consideration. But I think for me, like I really value like when folks who are just hobbyists and amateurs set out to do something that they haven't done before or don't really have any experience in, and walk away with something that's actually quite enjoyable. Like that's always such a great experience to sit through those films. And then obviously it's quite nice to watch professionals come together and kind of show off, if you will, over 48 hours to see what's truly possible. It's a lot like track and field and sort of running your own race. And pushing yourself to set a new record.
That gives me a very interesting visual. So, Ria, for you as the producer, are you functioning also as like a referee? Are you a coach? Like, what would be the analog here?
Coach is a good way to look at it. So during the 48 hours, I field phone calls pretty much constantly. Questions about the required line, or is this allowed, or come, 6 o'clock on the day of delivery, I get a lot of calls about whether a film will qualify or will they get it up in time. And so a coach and maybe even a cheerleader, like I want everyone to cross that finish line. And I'm actually really excited. This is the first year, so 35 teams completed their film on time, but all of the teams completed a film by midnight.
Okay.
So they're late, but they did complete a film. And of the 35 teams that completed in time, all of them qualified for the judges, and that's a new record.
And what is the distinction there?
So if a film didn't incorporate one of the required elements, they would be disqualified from judging.
Okay, so they all followed the rules
Yes,
and got it in time. And I listened to a conversation about the 48-hour film project, and there was discussion about the formats or the things that people used to have to do in order to deliver the film on time.
Yes, it used to be much, much harder. People would run into a room and throw a DVD across the room to get it in on time. Now you can just upload. Much simpler.
And for you, Keith, are DVDs something that you remember having to deliver?
Yeah, only in my worst nightmares. Yeah, I mean, I think like the creative decisions are coming at these filmmakers so rapidly, and the technical decisions and the technical executions are it's constant and endless. And if you have one sidestep on Friday night, the way that will magnitude by the time Sunday rolls around, is quite significant. And then there's always the mad dash for the export and the upload. These days, export and upload, well, that's a quite bit easier than the olden days, I guess. I guess we can say that now, of burning a disc and then racing across town to slide it in on time. And I don't miss those days.
Mm-hmm. Was there anything that you used to do, Keith, with your teams to prepare for that day of?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think like within the confines of the competition, it's always good to sort of button things up. Like regardless of what these elements are that are coming through, we know that you're going to need a location to film in. We know that you're going to need a camera. The roles and responsibilities on a film set are more or less ubiquitous. So steps of preparation, like we don't know what we're going to make, but this is what we're going to use. We're going to film in this garage, which is what we used a couple times. Or, folks have access to all sorts of things that a lot of people use their homes. But buttoning those things up in advance, I think, go a long way to kind of making a successful film at the end of the weekend.
Mm-hmm. We're speaking with Keith Kennedy, who is a director and a 2-time 48-hour film project winner and judge this year, as well as with Ria Ruthsatz, who's the producer for St. Louis 48-hour film project. So as you have seen the entrance, the work that they have produced, is there anything that stands out to you maybe as an oddly common theme? I mean, they're working with the same line, character, prop, but was there something else that cropped up among the work that was produced, Ria?
Yeah, it's nothing monumental, but it is funny to me. The prop was a paper plate, and I guess the only thing that people eat on a paper plate is pizza. So much pizza.
There's
in these
lots
films.
of pizza in St. Louis.
Yes. But no, it's really fascinating to me how people can take the very same things and make things that are so very different.
Mm-hmm. What is it that people tell you about why they've decided to participate? I mean, what is it that makes it so fun?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of it is about community. It's just it's a fun group of people that people want to be a part of. But more than that, I think creatives, myself included, we shy away from deadlines. I actually love deadlines. But the fact is, as humans, we're all on a deadline, and you can go your entire life saying, I'm going to make a short film one day and never do it. This forces you to do it. So it might be scary to sign up and do it, but when you finish, you're going to have a film that shows, not only shows, but that people will watch. Like there's going to be an audience full of people. We sell out our shows that are going to watch and enjoy your film.
Okay, tell us a little bit more about who gets to see these films and where.
Yeah. So our premieres are September 8th, 9th, and 10th at the Galleria 6 Cinemas at 7 p.m. You can visit our website. Tickets are available now. It's 48hourfilm.com/St. Louis. Anyone can attend. Like I said, we do often sell out. It is a packed show. But yes, every film that was submitted, so all of them this year, are going to show, and then we'll have an award ceremony, and then we have a second screening of the award-winning films at the Chase Park Cinemas on October 15th. Mm-hmm. So if you just want to see the best of the best and find out who won Best of St. Louis, that's the one to go to.
What is the audience like at these?
The energy is incredible. I definitely want Keith to weigh in on this as a filmmaker, but I love sitting there. At that point, I've seen the films, probably 5 times each. But it is such a joy to watch them again on the big screen. And that's an experience that I'm really glad to be able to provide for these folks, because when you see your work on the big screen, it's like nothing else. It's amazing.
Yeah, Keith, what has your experience of that been?
Exactly. I think the high, if I may, of seeing your work, forcing people to watch it in its entirety in a quiet room is unlike anything else. And I think more so when you are in sitting there with, like a dozen other teams who are showing something in the exact same medium, almost like a ballroom dance. Another analogy, I'm on a roll here. But like, everybody's sort of attempting the same steps, if I may, and to see everyone side by side, I think there's a mutual appreciation. Like, you think like it's a competition, we're gunning for the top spot, but I don't find it like that at all. It's far more like, man, I've been there. Like, oh, I see, yep, that happens. Sometimes the sound drops out on you, and you have to go with it because you have 5 hours to get the shot, or to get the film submitted. So, I think there's a camaraderie to it, and there's a context and kind of an energy. And it's really cool to see what folks in town are doing, and suffer through the pains together, but also enjoy all the fun as well.
Mm-hmm. Was it also an opportunity, Keith, to connect with other people? Riyadh mentioned community. Is there that benefit of getting to know other people who are also passionate about film and maybe are able to do some things that you wish you could do better, and whose skills you could use on a crew?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, most definitely. I mean, seeing techniques demonstrated, knowing that they had the same confines that, everyone else did, but the results that a certain team or a certain, a cinematographer or actor, actress, whatever, like, seeing what they were able to achieve, that's very like, wow, it's you can appreciate it much more. And it's also quite funny to see, like, all these, you see a lot of dark faces while you're watching the movies, and then the lights come up and you're like, hey, you're kind of like famous from 5 minutes ago because I just saw you in that movie. So that's fun too. It's just a really, really neat experience. And it's really unlike anything else.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the categories for judging, Keith?
As far as awards go, it's obviously the big ones: best film, best actor, best directing, best cinematography. But then I think the competition has a sort of like a little bit of beauty towards the back end, where the judges can sort of come together and say that there's set design, for instance, or even further than that, ensemble. It could go on and on depending on what the kind of the consensus is, but all your standard awards as far as like filmmaking technique, music, editing, etc.
It's very much like the Oscars, but in addition, we also have best use of prop, best use of the character, and these are opportunities for people. Maybe their film was not so fantastic that it merits best film, but maybe they did something really, really clever with that prop, and so we get to celebrate them too.
Mm-hmm. So this competition now, the filmmaking part of it is done, but is there a piece of advice that you would offer to someone who might want to do this in the future, Ria?
Yeah, I would say first off, come out to the premieres. You're going to get a great taste of what it looks like to make a film in 48 hours. And then I'd say sign up, because it'll force you to do it. And we're all here rooting for you. It's really wonderful to see professional filmmakers and people just getting started. Mom and dad shooting a film on their iPhone. It happens. Mm-hmm. And everyone is rooting for each other.
Yeah. Keith, how about you? Is there advice that you would give to first-time entrants, or maybe people who are trying this out? It's their sophomore effort.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's define a vision early and stick with it, right or wrong. I think like as the weekend starts to stretch on, you think, oh man, that decision I made 14 hours ago feels like a lifetime ago, and now I'm stuck having to make good on it. But I think that's all part of it. I would say go for it. I think a lot of times, if you're interested in pushing yourself as a filmmaker or trying it for the very first time, if you're interested in trying visual techniques, or you want to film yourself recording a monologue, like all of those things are good enough reasons to try a 48, because there aren't any bad reasons. And if you walk away with a project that's in any way coherent and watchable, it's a miracle, because the baseline default position is this is an impossible challenge that is failed almost all the time, but that's also part of the mystique of it.
Mm-hmm. Are there things that people do, like mistakes that they make in preparing for what is essentially, it's a 48-hour sprint, right?
Yes, yeah. I think the number one thing is location, like Keith mentioned, because you don't know what your genre is going to be. You might get Western, you might get sci-fi. What is a location that you can get your hands on that can work for any genre? And so that's a big one to think about. Mm-hmm. And the other one, I think, is finish your writing before Saturday morning. That's huge. Like, you need to be filming first thing Saturday morning, even maybe late Friday night. I see teams doing that, but those are the two big ones.
How do people fuel themselves during that time? Keith, what have you eaten? What have you drunk?
Oh, it's brutal. I mean, it's seriously physically demand. It's brutal. I mean, I think what we try to do is pass the baton as much as possible so that at least one member of the team is up at a time. I know a lot of the teams don't sleep at all. That's not something that's an option for myself. So I think like anything we can do. I have a couple of teammates who are just downright. I don't know, they're sort of brutalist, and they say 48 hours is 48 hours. I'm staying up all 48. It's not that hard. Well, around hour 47, I think, your body starts to feel it. So, caffeine a little bit, yes. Water, certainly. Some protein snacks, all of the healthy things. And then, you keep putting one foot in front of the other. Eventually you press submit and you kind of say, like, what just happened?
Mm-hmm. So the process then of judging, because this is what people are going to be waiting for, how close are you all to selecting winners, Keith?
Yeah, well, Keith just got
Ria.
the films last night.
Oh.
Yes, so they just went to the judges yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Ria, what are we looking at
Keith.
as far as the timeline goes?
Yeah, so we should hear back from the judges in about a week. There's 3 judges, so Keith is one. Emmett Williams with Cinema St. Louis, and then Christopher Yost, the screenwriter behind Thor Ragnarok and Cowboy Bebop, is also weighing in. Mm-hmm. So we'll take all of their opinions and determine best of St. Louis.
Mm-hmm. Is there something in particular that that the judges really make a difference in the selection?
Absolutely. So I make it a point to have 3 different judges every year because we have the same teams competing every year, and I like people to be unbiased. I'm really excited to have Keith because he gets it. And that's another thing that's hard to communicate to a judge, that what is the strain of doing this in 48 hours if you haven't experienced it? But I find the judges bring a lot of their own perspective to the table. We had Sean Gunn as a judge a few years ago, and it was hilarious to see his favorite films. Kelly Stables, Charisse Hilario, they're all very, very different.
Mm-hmm. And what is the grand prize with this, Ria?
Yes. So Best of St. Louis goes on to represent our city at the international competition. Keith's film, who won the very first year, was nominated for Best VFX internationally.
Oh.
Yeah, and then we also celebrate with very, very tall trophies. So we hand out trophies that get a little bit larger every year. I think this one might be taller than me.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope to see that for myself.
Yes, please.
Ria Ruthsatz is producer for St. Louis 48-Hour Film Project, and Keith Kennedy is a director and a 2-time 48-Hour Film Project winner and a judge this year. Keith and Ria, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
This episode was produced by Darius Farner.
Our audio engineer is Aaron Dorr. This podcast was mixed and edited by Aaron.
Our executive producer is Alex Hoyer.
St. Louis on the Air is a production of St. Louis Public Radio. Understanding starts here.
Do you find yourself regularly listening to episodes of St. Louis on the Air? Suggest us to a friend you think might enjoy our conversations. And leave us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts on the App Store. It's the simplest way to help people discover our show. Thanks.
St. Louis Public Radio is a member-supported service of the University of Missouri St. Louis.
The Gateway brings you the day's news each weekday from around the St. Louis region and the state capitals in Jefferson City.
Our schools are accredited. We don't need this bill.
And Springfield.
How many more years must pass before lawmakers see time is of the essence?
I'm Abby Larico. Join me each weekday for The Gateway on the STLPR app or wherever you get podcasts.